bây giờ con nói điều họ bây giờ thế nào cái tiêu của cái chạy trò tiêu nó tàn thọ tôi chỉ dạy cái thọ cái mùi cho văn chữ đó là cái mùi trò qua văn chữ là cái gì vậy kia bây giờ con nào mùi là cho nên mùa xìa trời trời lo thứ hai tia Lúa thi muôn cao chùa trên dề thao bề vô thân thiếu nhân trên bê thia mô trào hòa chữ tha rau na bê chi thua la tiếng rau na bê chi thua la tiếng bê thia mô giáo ca lu xia nơi kia có mùa bỏ kề la trái trong sở tu khảo lý đồng vì do Yeshua thọ kế đủ bê thia li lo cho bê đi ya li khoa nữ mô y thi Yeshua có thia ya kế lu Yeshua có thia ya kế lu bê thia li lo wo có tu cho wo Yeshua tạo chỉ lo cái cao nhẹ thương cao lý đồng thua tu tự tạo lu xia chia chúa đã xì sao lo xì bàn xì lu lon đã kề dân nhé sao cho ta thọ thua ya cha sao cho ta thọ thua ya cha chỉ còn qua nên thâu Yeshua
be talking about. Okay? Sometimes I'll be a little bit later here and there, but I will do my best. If you don't see any email, that's because I'm really busy at school. Okay, so go to chapter 3, and we are going to read a lot today. Okay, we're going to read a lot today. All right. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold 90 feet high and 9 feet wide, and it set up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. He then summoned the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the other provincial officials to come to the dedication of the image he had set up. So the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the other provincial officials assembled for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before it. Okay. A little bit of background here, let me just share this with all of you, that King Nebuchadnezzar is actually a Babylonian king who came and conquered Israel, and he came and he captured the heart of the country, which was Jerusalem back then. Jerusalem was ruled by evil kings, one right after the other, until God was just at the okay, enough is enough. So King Nebuchadnezzar came in, and he was a Assyrian king, a Babylonian king. And he came in and he took over Jerusalem. And to make a long story short, he gathered many of the young ones that he saw would be fitting to serve him as king. And in the midst of all of that chaos, not just all the things that all the destruction going on, but there was also capturing of prisoners. And we here if you read chapter 1 and chapter 2, you can see that there were 4 main characters that goes about in chapter 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And those 4, if you were to look at the notes that I have there, was Daniel. Now I'm going to go ahead and reveal to you the Hebrew names before I get into the Babylonian names, because it's very important to know this. Daniel is actually a Hebrew name, and his 3 friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Azariah. Daniel means Elohim is my judge. Daniel, and you can see the root word El in Daniel. El, Elohim. Elohim is my judge. Hananiah means grace of Yah, grace of Yahweh. Hananiah, Yah. And then you see Mishael, El, help from Elohim. And then Azariah also means the same thing as Mishael. Azariah means help from Yahweh. Okay, just letting you guys know. And then King Nebuchadnezzar came in and he ordered officials to go and gather these young men together. And the main thing was to train them to serve King Nebuchadnezzar for as long as they lived. That was the objective. And then their 4 names were changed to Babylonian names. And meaning nói nhớ là họ phát là cu lời chỉ của qua Hananiah là Mishael là Azariah là Azariah Daniel. Babylonian names for Daniel was Belhazzar. It means bell, protect the king. It's not talking about the God that we serve. It's talking about the Babylonian lowercase g God, okay, that they serve. And it means to protect their king, as what people would say, long live the king. And this would be the same phrase that they would use to says, bell protect the king. And then you will go down to Hananiah, and then now they change it to Shadrach. Shadrach, no money title, the command of Aku, which is the command of the moon god in Babylonian tongue. And then you go to Mishael, and you can see there in the writings, it is actually a name of a Chaldean god. And then Azariah was changed to Abednego, which is servant of Nebu. Nebu. If you guys play games in Nintendo, there was many villains named after Nebu. Okay, so it means the god of wisdom. Their names that mom and dad named them when they were born in the Hebrew culture were names of great honor according to God, Yahweh. And then when they were captured, their names were changed to something else that would fit the environment of that time. We now live in a country with many great things. With many great things also come with many other things that can distract us. And many times, you will feel like you are a stranger in a strange land. You can apply this to the geographical description, but then we neglect the description of our spirit. There are many times that you would hear people would say out this phrase, nature versus nurture. Okay, is it because how you grew up that changed your way of thinking? Okay, or is it because is it because it is in you, your blood, that was passed on by generations, that it's in you, and you have no way of getting it or escape, and whatever curse you received or whatever attitude that you have received from your bloodline remains in you. And then as time goes on and you grow up and you become a young boy or a young girl, you begin to think about yourself. And every time you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel confused because many people have branded you so many different ways. For example, we come and we live here, generations after generation, starting ever since World War II, we get these titles and branded into generations. The generations born during World War II were called the Great Generation. And then after that, there's the Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, the Millennials, the Lost Generation, and all these different types. If you were born like me in 1982, I think 2004, 2007, we are considered the Millennials. We are considered the Millennials. And if you were to research that, there are many things in its definition that so we are branded by all these different titles. But as a God-fearing man and as a Yeshua follower, as they actually officialize these terms. As the King's generation. We are the King's generation because we worship. Because we worship and we give praise to God. No matter how confused you are, no matter how confused people get, and they name and they brand generations after generation, I want you to remember that that should not take away your love and your passion of worshiping the one who created you. Please remember this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that you were first created not by the image of rocks and stones, not by the image of other people's imagination, but from the image of the Heavenly Father God. That is who we belong to. And that is the generation that I branded as the King's generation. Anybody who prays and worships the Lord knows that they are a child of God. Because the word worship, it means to adore, to find worth. To find worth. Do you find worth in their words that they're trying to stereotype you with? Are you finding worth in that? If you do find worth in that, you will begin then to be doctrinated and be brainwashed by one phrase that they tell you, and then you get. But I tell you that there is a Bible 3 inches thick that talks about do not forget what God says about you compared to what the devil and the world says about you. Yes, we are a stranger in a strange land. But remember that we are only passing through. We are only passing through because we know where we are going. And that is back to the arms of our Heavenly Father. We are just passing through, doing His work. And He will be the one who restores. And when He restores, you are getting more than what you lost. You are getting more back than what you lost. That's what restoration means. Okay? 咁我要 change 咗你，我讀1961啦又，跟住我同佢問你嘅拼意思哦，你全部大書啦，咁我叫龍 call 咩？咁我 call 到嗰種 restore 咩？跟住佢哋擺乜咩？不過怕是嗎 ？Okay? This is why when God restores my spirit, I am worth more than any value that can put on my head. People say that you are worth this X amount of money. People say that you are worth this X amount of value. But I tell you this, that you all are worth the value that is immeasurable, it's unfathomable, and that is the blessing of God. You guys are worth that. We are worth the blood of Yeshua Christ. That's why okay? Big people, do you know how much you cost? Not by how much you make at McDonald's, not by how much you make at your workplace, not by how much they give you, but how much Yeshua had to die for you at your place. That is how much you are worth. So remember that, remember that. We are strangers in a strange land. Okay? And that will confuse so many of us. When God is in you, He is not the author of confusion. He will make it so that you won't get scared and intimidated by no matter what happens around you. Because like I said in the very beginning, a few months ago, that your spirit should be stronger. Strong. We all heard the phrase that blood is thicker than water. I would also justify this, that spirit is stronger than blood. Okay? Should be equally be said that spirit is stronger than blood, because when your spirit is strong, nothing in the world can scare you. But when your spirit is weak, even a little cock idea in the kitchen will make you run with your tail behind you. So, be strong, be strong. King Nebuchadnezzar had these 4 boys. And if he worship to statue. There are many things in our lives that we don't bow down with our knees, but we bow down with our lives. We bow down with our resources and our time. They're going to take over. They're going to be not better. It may not be a 90-foot, 9 feet wide statue made out of gold, but it can be the addiction that you are trying to that you are wrestling with day and night. It may be the relationship in your life that you always, trying to get over with. It probably may be a grudge that someone has against you that is still poisoning your lifestyle. Whatever it is, I tell you this, that Christ can conquer that for you. Be strong and courageous, as what it said in the book of Joshua. So these four men, they would not bow down to false gods and idols. Okay? Because there's and I want us to believe God to the point where it's so natural for you, like it's breathing. You know? You come to church not because you come to church. You come to church because it is your duty, it's part of you. I mean, if you don't come, you feel empty that week. Okay? So, so the more you go church go the you are strong, because the strength doesn't come from the pastor. The strength comes from the one, the great I am. That's why we call him the Almighty One. So they would not bow down. And we continue. Then the herald loudly in verse 4 proclaimed, "This is what you are commanded to do, O peoples, nations, and men, and every language. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into the blazing furnace." People will create their own hell and throw you into their own hell. And that's when they start judging you, and that's when they start, okay? That is their hell that they create to put you in. But I tell you this, that no weapon formed against you, whether it's from hell or from on the earth, can ever prevail, because we are on the side of God. Okay? And that's what they did. That's what the officials did to the three boys. And during that time, Daniel, Mishael, and Azariah. So King Nebuchadnezzar ordered the strongest man to come and bind these three boys. When they were captured, they were around 16 years old. 4 years later, they're now like a late high school age, early college student. If you were talking about comparing the age. So King Nebuchadnezzar had them bound up and be thrown into this furnace. We all know that furnace, fire. Jahia is studying chemistry right now. And when heat comes and interacts with organic matter, there is a chemical change. Okay? This is why when you put oxygen and hydrogen together in imuhuna, nothing happens. There's oxygen gas in there and there's hydrogen gas in there, and nothing happens. But we all learn that it's H2O that creates water. There's nothing that's happening. But the moment when there's heat, then we begin to see sparkles of water forming. This is why God is called consuming fire. So they're trying to act this out, but they're looking at warning on they drop it's just basically Nebuchadnezzar, that statue, it's just his image. Okay? When the trumpet sounds, Everybody's supposed to kneel down. But I'm glad that today in Living Gospel, when our trumpets and our drums and our guitar goes off, it's for the Lord.
Amen.
It's for the Lord. It is for the Lord. Because this, even though you're not even though you're not people don't want you na. Ni papa hai ke dat chu shong tu na. Thiên va chu na. Don't be lao vong ke na. He dances with us. The Bible says that the angel dances with us. But the Hebrew Bible says that God himself gets off from his throne and he starts to twirl around with you. So happy. Okay? The big one no ta rao ni no. Especially the wicked king. Okay? Not for our own good. Not for our own pride, just to practice and then one day we'll leave and drop all this stuff and then go and then use what we've learned here at church to propel us and to catapult us into another career that has been derailed from the first love. Your true first love. Never derailed from that. At this time, some astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O king, live forever. You have issued a decree, O king, that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, hard pipes, and all kinds of music must fall down and worship the image of gold. And that whoever does not fall down and worship will be thrown into the blazing furnace. But there are some Jews, whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pays no attention to you, O king. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up." Furious with rage, to make this story, now let me paraphrase this. He got so angry, he gathered these boys, and this is what, let's see what it says. This is what the boys respond. Here we go. Okay. 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king. In verse 16, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from it, and he will rescue us from your hand, O king. But even if he does not, even if God does not help us out from this dilemma, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." Okay? We're to compare our livelihood with our grandparents and our parents and the ones of old. We cannot compare to a single pinky, okay, of what they went through. Bây giờ nhau they turn on a superpower, không đâu giải trong nó bé chỉ everything, nhau nó tan thọ, những ngày như gì, nhau đâu lúc they turn được chọn nhẹ lo, giờ cái giống như bị nó, nó chọn nhẹ, thầu là bé mình, họ biến thành đủ liền, một linh đó, tao lên thầu là chúng mà chúng tầm mạn chúng đi đi rồi họ được bỏ cái những gì cho cái cho hệ cái đi, thế thầu là tao giải họ trong xe mà nó trong cái đi đi. Nên lúc này nó tao là cho kinh doanh thiên nhau chuột thiên nhau khó luôn. Why their faith so strong? Cho họ là coi that even in good times God is with them, and even in bad times the Lord will never forsake them. They're strong. Most of them are strong. And here we are. We may not struggle with the physical aspect of what we do go through our spiritual battles. Every one of us have, little things and obstacles and mountains that we must prevail and glass over. But So have strong in faith in whatever that you're going through. Here, He is your God. And when you are so in just la la land, and just happen to be in a good mood, He is still your God. So these 4 boys, they're going there and they're going to be facing the strong man that I talked about. It says in the Good New Translation that he got one of the strongest men, toughest one, and led them to the furnace. King Nebuchadnezzar got so angry. His temper was hotter than those furnaces. And he said, make it hotter by 7-fold. And when the strong man got close to it, and he gets close to it, and here are the 3 boys. He gets close to it. And what happened to that? To soldier, strong. In the eyes of men, and he, she may be strong. The rules may be too strong. The guidelines may be strong. The culture may be too strong here. That person is so strong, but it is in the eyes of men that they are strong. But in the eyes of God, like a young goat, they to do the place to get long time. Nebuchadnezzar was starting the 3 boys, but in the end he lost men because of his temper. Those 3 boys went in, as they walked closer and closer, nothing scorched them. And now they are in the middle of this furnace, where blazing fire, 9-12 feet tall. When they got in, something happened. And you guys know this, something happened. Then Nebuchadnezzar, verse 19, was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And his attitude toward them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to throw them into the blazing furnace. So though these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace, the king's command was so urgent, and the furnace so hot, that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Whatever the world or whatever the devil has its plan to strangle your spirit, know this, that those things will be defeated by God. And you will be left. And how you came in original, you will go out. More than originality, you will come out supernatural. Okay? So what happened? 24, King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet, and asked his advisor, weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire? And they replied, oh, certainly, of course, O king, we brought 3. And he said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed. They went in, they're tied up. They went in being young men and young boys have gone to mom and dad, take you guys to kill pigs. Okay, okay, they go into somewhere, oh, it hurt me so much. Oh my goodness, I'm like traumatized for like months. Yeah, because I love PBS, ladies and gentlemen. I love channel PBS and watch nature and everything, all these African animals and Alaska and everything, and Montana, Yellowstone, and then water, you know. I know it's for me to eat, but oh, look good. 录个里我都有在那搞边搞的云录片的。我给领导做背度人的，丁宁有我陪着个，你就不领保领导，打有我站我那都个领导，他个做家里，你做开车个不做，个做啊就这，只做做啊就这，都好吧，只做个这个呢。And he's there and he's watching these three boys, the Lord Himself watching these three boys, and they're going in. Please do not think that God came and protected them in the furnace. God already protected them from point A. Because if God did not protect them, they would have died with the soldiers before they even entered the first foot into the furnace. 但是嘛，可能我找那个就家里，人家么都好，快去捡么都来，等到我都打了天，然后等 themselves burn all the artificials. Let the consuming of God burn out all the artificials in your life. But then and what's left over is the true you that is accountable to the true God. And all these things don't. If you observe Hmong funeral, if you were to observe Hmong funeral very closely, Hmong ni ma thọ là tụi nên tua nhau cho họ luôn tê nè, mà lời trong một phòng mà lời chỉ kia có một lò ai chỉ nhau thì đâu là liệu, chỉ bút có một tiếng nhau cũng nhiều lò nhau, mình chú được cái con giờ chỉ chỉnh Hmong được mình ta xem na, tên mình nhỏ lại lưu nó cũng thấy cũng nu nè. Cũng một điều này không có thể trả lời được họ nên cũng I went to these funerals, right? And then some funerals they would have like these picture frames in the casket with the dead right there and a tissue box inside there and then gold amulets and chains and wristband. Thì mình cho nó bé kì nó mất tên là trẻ ta thì mình chỉnh sửa nó được. According to what I observed, and what I heard, and the lesson that I learned there. So when they went into the furnace, the consuming fire burned all of the artificials that does not belong to you. Whatever binds you, off. Whatever addiction, off. Okay? Whatever that you're wrestling, off. All the things that you're going through at school, off. At work, off. Your sadness, off. Okay? Your grudge, your anger, whatever that you are going through that is keeping you from praising God, off. And what came out from their mouths? And they were moving around and there was one in the middle of them, and the King Nebuchadnezzar, who did not believe in the God of Israel, said, "We put 3 there, but there is one more who looked like an angel." Angel actually means the messenger of the word. And in the book of John, it says, chapter 1, verse 1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." The Word that became flesh, Yeshua, and He, that angel, the Word, stood there, just in the form of and they were so comfortable around Him, because when I look at this. When I look at the Logos, I see my image in Him. That is who I belong to, not where I came from, not the strange land that has tried to devour me. It is you. Even in the midst of trouble, I can connect with you because I came from Thy image. They're out here banging on instruments to bow down. And these guys are in the furnace praising with the instrumental vocal that God blessed them with. 你去操车了，给我家过去挣到 piano 的师傅嘞，我哋家过去挣到了东西，我哋家过去挣工作的听者。OK， 我还听到你我正啥好能闹呢？要把这样谁搞来给？个我都说人找的难过是老不开路个点的什么，我到个的生活都等吵的呢。啊，人家包领的呢。就好起码一路说，比如说我的高路说的呢，单朝引别人的名不路感动的呢，起码一都不路说上高路说的啊，高的人高是呢。要还得路说呢，就去考啊，直接给 absent 呢，我来哭了，他不 take attendance 呢。要 Andrew 去多的，单朝路好好的，我丁名好路感动了，下一别人的，这么低都 Andrew 呢。ที่เรียกหนึ่งเกี่ยวยอของตัดสินแล้วนะยังมีปล้อที่ชิ้นยอดเราก็เชิญเลยนะเจ้าเราคุณยศคุณจอหรือเทียนนะตั้งทอยีช่างไปเรียนที่หนึ่งยอรุ่นเดียเต้นเดี๋ยวน้อยก็รู้ช่วยรู้ช่วยฉิดโคมาจีนเนาะก็จริงๆมันก็รู้ช่วยเดี๋ยวน้อยขวดแล้วว่าจีเขาก็ขวดคุณจอดกับติดชิวเกเรเนาะ Okay we may not be in the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, or we may not be in these professional singing group. That when we sing, we are in a heavenly choir. Okay? And it always be strong. And then when they got out, not a single hair burned. Because they were in the fire. And the fire was created by God. Everything was created by God. And when God said, do not burn these young boys, they fire to know, okay? They got fire. They told them what you keep up with. When they got out, oh my goodness. Verse 28. Then King Nebuchadnezzar said, verse 28, praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him and defied the king's command, and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be cut into pieces, and their houses be turned into piles of rubble, for no other God can save in this way. He just spoke to himself. He shot himself. He ate his own foot. Okay? He was raised up believing in these Baal gods, in these Baal and self-serving. And now he says, chỉ một ít từ vào chiều lúc căn tôi nóiอยู่จัดโตติ้งนี่นอนี่นะใช้ตัวเดียวนี่จะว่าจีสิในนอนี่ต้องจัดโตหนึ่งลีนอเนอใช้ตัวหนึ่งเนอไอ้เด็กจริงๆเรา要 fantasy ที่ imagination ของก็是เนี่ยนอเนี่ยสิพวก公园公我去给家庭估计我有多多没了所以电你知道 experience ที่เขานอเลยนะไอ้种那很宝贵的นะตัวว่าจีไอ้สามารถก็ experience 到底主要ตัวว่าจี of God of Israel 就是那了你听你用劲了，你听你做劲，一做劲在前几天喽。แต่我有啥的听那边跟那是讨论那个跟那种家的 did he ever became surrender? Yeah. If you read more in the book of Daniel, แต่อะไรเนี่ย用做法主嘛用定过定过绝的 but that's a whole new sermon for a whole new different time, okay? So he is going to go through his own wrestle with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, okay? But that's a whole new different sermon for next time. And they came out, and their walk was the testimony Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that probably your life, your walk, your attitude, your character is the only Bible that some people will ever read. I want your belief in God to speak louder than these four walls. I want your attitude, your character, your heart to expand beyond what we say, buildings and this. When you walk out, let your voice always be in worship with God. So chứ hai tụt tận nó là hai có lúc xia nè, tạm li li với tạm là chứ hai, họ lúc xia với tạm li nữa, okay. Có người nói một mẹ, nhiều vitamin, thêm nhiều nutrition, thì có đồng chung pin nữa. So keep họ nói nhiều mà, có lúc có thâu tàu cái tàu cái tụi tin rồi, chưa rú nữa, thì có tàu nó sẽ dùng hành bát đi rồi, yeah. Thì thầu tư như lò kia thì có cái thầu lò decrease và mình increase xíu nữa nè, cái của sản phẩm thế này nè. So we may be strangers in a strange land, but remember this: no matter where you are, even though when you feel lost, you may feel lost in a strange land, in a strange country, but you are never lost in God because He has you in the palm of His hand. Everybody stand up, let's pray. Hallelujah. Lord, we give thanks to you. We love you and we adore you. You are awesome. You are magnificent. And we magnify you, Lord, to the ends of the earth. Continue to bless your people so that we may continue to work together as one in spreading the good news throughout all four corners of the world. Let us not be grieved by our own defeats, Lord, for we know that the war has been over and we have prevailed with you by your blood. We love you and we thank you. Bless your sheep, bless your flock. Whatever they're going through, Lord, you know the depths of their heart. And you are there when nobody is there. You are in the dark closets of their lives. Let it be shown to them your light, that they may be free indeed. In thy name we praise. And God's children said amen. Amen. Praise the Lord.